Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose, and I'm here to share your daily aspects. Today is Tuesday, March 15, 2022. The Sun in Pisces here with Jupiter and Neptune and Mercury. We are in the final week of the Sun's transit through Pisces, and it's a Pisces party. Look at all those planets hanging out right there together. We can relax, play, and create and communicate with style. Sometimes the amplified energies of growth and expansion and inspiration from Jupiter and Neptune being at home in Pisces can sort of make the flow of inspiration feel a little overwhelming. We may seek time to check out, or time alone that we can sort through thoughts, images, notions that are pushing to find expression. That's okay. Pisces always invites us to take a break and take some time to reflect inward. And today is going to provide an ideal space to turn to our quiet, intuitive, and creative practices. The waxing crescent moon will be in Leo all day, and it makes ingress to Virgo at right around midnight. This is still our time to shine and appreciate and demonstrate our care for others. Leo is ruled by the sun, so understand that the object of all this appreciation and demonstration is to bring growth and wellness, as well as to raise the emotional vibrations toward joy and away from despair. And the waxing crescent moon invites us between now and Friday to keep working, to take action on those intentions that we have set, those goals that we are working toward, so that we can hopefully have a culmination of a goal or a partial culmination of a goal with the full moon in Virgo on Friday. And that full moon in Virgo is going to really have us in a celebratory mood, and with an eye also toward like the order of things. We're going to be celebrating the order we have brought to things. I have a feeling that that's what that is about. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the aspects. I want to let you know that there is a legend on the side here. Most of the symbols on the page made it into the legend, so if you're searching for a name or a sort of keyword to go with a symbol, they're right over here. Otherwise, I'm going to discuss everything as I go over the page. And I have divided the page otherwise into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. Now, the moon sheds light on our inner lives. This is how it feels to be in our body, our heart, and our mind, who we are on the inside, those things we think, feel, know, and intuit, and also how we come to be like in our domestic space, the people that are there with us as well. So that's like our private life and our really the inner life, the part that is on the inside that nobody can really know but me, right? and that may or may not find expression in the outer life. And the aspects and transits that the moon makes are really relatively brief, so we keep them all on one side. They have more to do with what happens in terms of what we're thinking, feeling, knowing, and intuiting. The sun, on the other hand, sheds light on the outer life. And this is more about who we are, the part of us that interfaces with the rest of the world, who we are in our workspace, who we are in our social and civic spaces, and how we relate to people out there, how we show up out there as well. And I address the sun's aspects and the rest of the planet's aspects over here because they take longer than those lunar aspects, and they have more to do with what does get expressed in the outer life. And we start with the moon today, friends, at Central Standard Time, 5:56 in the morning, almost 6 o'clock in the morning. And the moon is void of course at this point, which means that the moon is making its last aspect in the sign of Leo. And after that, pretty much everything inner life related is not so influenced by either of the signs that the moon is transitioning between. So void of course moon in opposition to Saturn. Moon in aspect with Saturn has us generally feeling some way about those structures, those foundations and networks that we rely on for support and validation, and our responsibility to maintaining them. And in an opposition, it might be like, okay, so I've built this structure around me and now I feel sort of bored with it, or I feel a little bit lonely. Okay, this opposition has us not feeling necessarily good about our structure right now. So it can have a little bit of a depressing effect, and it's good to be aware of that. Like if you come into the morning thinking, oh, not this morning, friends. I don't really want to do any of this stuff that I said I would do. Just be aware that that's a 2-hour aspect, and it can come across as a mood, or you could have just some sort of sense of intuition or foreboding that things are not going to go the way you want them to go that day. It's okay. It's an intuition, it's a mood or a feeling, and it's in opposition to the natural flow of Moon and Saturn, because usually we're just in the mood in some way, to work within our structures and gain from them what we do. So at that time, just be aware, and that doesn't mean that we should check out or not maintain our structures, right? We still have to show up for the responsibilities that we signed on for. And then this evening at 11:58 p.m., the moon moves into Virgo. And this is moon in Virgo, makes us want to sort of create order. We want to sort things out. It's a good time to be organizing. It's also about mending fences and sort of healing bodies, minds, and spirits. So creating order and helping others really can bring some emotional satisfaction at this time. And that's a great way to be coming to be coming out of this sort of effort to shine so that people can grow. And in the middle here, for a good, I think 18 or 19 hours, guys, we have this void of course. And void of course is when we really want to find some time to do our journaling, our reading, and our intuitive practices. So, like if you do tarot, or if you, dive deeper into your own astrology, or if you, engage in other intuitive practices, there are very many, and also your creative practices, because for a lot of us, our creative practices are our intuitive practices. So whatever it is that you like to work on to create, sometimes that's what takes you within, so that you can think about the stuff and have the conversations with yourself, right? So this is a great period of time for those kinds of things. It's a good way to sort of get clear with yourself. You can sort of let the things that are happening in your life pile up for a couple of days, but then it's time to explore them and express them, so that we know what we can let go of, and then know what we can move forward with, right? And then on the sun side of the page, we have two ongoing aspects. These came into our lives around February 16th, 17th, and they are going to start to fade away at spring equinox on March 20th. And they're two different vibrations. They're two completely different aspects, but they've been working together this whole time. And so I really hope that you're noticing the influence, of expanding good fortune with changes for the better in the context of your partnerships. And I also hope that you've been noticing the positive partnership themes, your ability to work well with your partners at this time. A Venus conjunct Mars. Venus is our quality of receptivity and attractiveness. It's what we desire, knowing what you want and what you need, and sort of knowing how to attract it your way, having that pulling power, calling things in. And then Mars is really our planet for assertiveness, forward motion, taking action, pursuit. So, in a shorthand, because conjunct amplifies but the energies of both of these, the shorthand would be that, whatever it is that we know what we want or need, and whatever it is that we're not just receiving, we can go in pursuit of it. We're very effective this way at getting to a place where we want to be. And this is, everybody's got Venus and Mars in their chart. So part of this is your relationship with yourself, but it also speaks very much to our partnerships in life. And that's, love life, work life, friends and family, but especially those people you either keep very close to you in your home, keep very close to you in your heart, you're in conversation with them a lot, or people that you work with and you rely on them for support, in your workspace. So those are your partnerships. At this time, we're in the final week of the actual conjunction. After March 20th, we'll still be sort of in the shadow of that conjunction through probably the first or second week of April. We'll still be feeling the effects of these partnership themes. And that will be fine, but it will start to fade after the spring equinox. So this last 5 days is really kind of the culmination and the thing that sets the tone going forward for how our partnerships are going to work for a while. So partnership themes are amplified. Remember your partnership goals, right? Remain dedicated. Are you struggling in the context of any of your partnerships, or are you satisfied with how things are going? Either way, it's important to remain dedicated to the goals, and remember this, okay? Open to the shifts and changes that might improve our functioning. And also I put this star over here because Mercury is going to make a sextile with Uranus tomorrow, and it really represents sort of inviting new ideas into this sort of landscape that we're in. Or we're in Pisces with all this watery stuff going on, so perhaps a seascape. And I just noticed that I made a Neptune there. That's funny. This is a very heavily Neptune-influenced Mercury right now, is what that is. So, remain dedicated and also open to the shifts and functioning. And what that means also in partnership, and I keep saying this and I have to just emphasize it, be very transparent and communicate with your partners. And, whether that's your romantic partner or your workplace partner, the people that you have to work with to move forward in your life, remain very communicative with them right now, because there are a lot of shifts and changes. We are all having new ideas, and we are all trying to move in a more positive direction in our lives. And it's our partnerships, it's our relationships that really help us focus. Okay, so that's that. And then Jupiter sextile Uranus, shifting foundations right now are really amplified. Again, we're in the last week of this full relationship, Jupiter sextile Uranus. We're in the last 5 days of it. So you're just going to feel an intensified effect. And when I say shifting foundations, I'm talking about the fact that Uranus is in Taurus, and that Taurus is very security themed and very being grounded themed and very wanting to enjoy the physical and the sensual pleasures that life has to offer. So, Taurus likes a very settled vibe, not a boring vibe, a very beautiful vibe that, grows things and creates things, but also just feeling settled, grounded in one place so that they can focus. And Taurus, with Uranus traveling through it, is noticing a lot of shifts and changes, and that can be really upsetting in the Taurus context. So, and let's not forget that Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this has been shifting, right? We had Venus in retrograde for 6 weeks. We had Venus make conjuncts with Pluto and Mercury and Mars. So, Venus has really been through it as far as the as the changes have gone. And that's both inner work and outer work, work on ourselves and work on our relationships. So, shifting foundations at this time, that's going to feel amplified, but it's in the context of this sextile with Jupiter, okay? So celebrate the adventure that you're on here. Jupiter is here to expand your concept of who you can be and what you can have and what you can do in the world. And sextile is a very positive, functioning vibration that makes these two cooperate with one another. Okay, so when we are willing, even with Taurus and Uranus and Taurus, when we are willing to step forward and just make those shifts and changes, however much we may wish to drag our feet and grumble about all the changes that we're going through, it's always for the better at this time. If you're making a change, it's for the better, and understand that it's working with Jupiter to expand your concept of what you can be, do, or have. So celebrate that adventure and remain open again to the changes that improve your standing. And I'm putting that there, and I'll put that little star there too, because again, Mercury is going to make this sextile with Uranus tomorrow, and we're going to really start inviting new ideas in that are going to have an impact on both of these as they are on their way, as they are in their most intense mode. Like, this is the week in review of these things, as well as the sun in Pisces. So really this is all coming to a head, and we want to have our things sorted out. We want to have some order in our lives before we start shifting into the next mode, the next bit of work. And then coming up, like I said, Mercury is going to make a sextile with Uranus, and we will be hopefully open and noticing more ideas, especially very creative ideas, perhaps unconventional ideas, into our efforts to, grow ourselves, grow our relationships, grow our relationships in the context of our communities as well. So yeah, that's exciting, right? And then full moon in Virgo coming up on Friday, and I want to keep it on the board that next Sunday the sun is going to move into Aries. So again, this is the last 5 days of Pisces, of the sun in Pisces. This is the last 5 days of Venus conjunct Mars being a real conjunction, and the same thing for Jupiter sextile Uranus. These things will fall out of their aspects at around the 20th. We will still feel their effects afterward. Okay, so that's all I have to say about astrology and the aspects today. If you're still with me here 18 minutes in, I sure appreciate you for being here and sticking with me. Please like my video, give me a thumbs up, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. I post every day, and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. And now, also, if you have any questions or comments, if something comes up for you, I encourage you to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will see it. I love to hear from you guys, and I will also respond. So now I'm going to shift to talking a little bit of tarot. First, we're going to talk about the card on the side of the page, and then I'm going to throw a card for the day. So the card on the side of the page is the Ten of Cups, and the Ten of Cups is here because it represents the final 10 days of the sun's transit through Pisces. So 10 of Cups, Pisces is a water sign, and Cups is the water element in tarot. So that's how we get that. And the 10 of Cups is really a representation of sort of very happy family vibes or happy community vibes, just a sense of fulfillment around what you have strived to create for yourself, both emotionally, intuitively, but also inspiration. What you have allowed in has helped you create emotional success for yourself and creative success for yourself. And creative success looks a lot like feeling security and feeling secure. And it doesn't really matter, how nice the things you have are. What matters is that you have the people you love around you and a sense of, again, groundedness and wholeness in the world. So I love that Ten of Cups card. It's a very loving, happy vibe, and it gives us this sense of unity, being at one with, our connection to spirit and our connection to those that we love, and our connection to the greater community as well, and to the land, to the earth. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue to mix up these cards so that I can remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Pisces, final 5 days, with Jupiter and Neptune, which will remain in Pisces after the sun leaves Pisces, and so will Mercury, though it won't stay there long. Mercury's transits are like 28 or 29 days. And this really has represented for us an expanded sense of creativity and inspiration and connection. And with Mercury having come in, also a sort of more creative and colorful approach to communication, although perhaps at the expense of some directness. So that's been all very positive. I've definitely felt an inspired and creative flow coming in, and I always interpret it as, yay, spring is almost here, because the days are getting longer and I'm really starting to notice it and see the sap rising in the trees and the daffodils are blooming. So all that makes me very joyous, but it also makes me joyous to know that it's sort of naturally and astrologically there for us to feel creative and inspired at this time. And the moon is a waxing crescent, which invites us to take action toward the culmination of our desires and goals. And the moon will be really in Leo all day today, which is our opportunity to shine and love on people in a way that helps them grow. Venus conjunct Mars, we talked a lot about that. Our partnership themes at this time, again, we're in the last 5 days, are amplified, remain dedicated to those goals, and at the same time, open to shifts and changes. How do we do that? It's through communication. Jupiter sextile Uranus encourages us to keep moving in the positive direction, make the changes that feel like they are for the better, so that you can improve your sense of growth and expansion into the world. On the moon side, we start with a little bit of a negative vibration, just sort of that we can feel a little bored or lonely, and it can have a depressing effect on our day. We don't really have to wallow in that. If you're subject to that feeling, that those energies that affect our feelings, you don't really have to give into that. You can just say, yes, this sadness, this loneliness is a bit of is present for me, and I still have things to do in terms of maintaining those structures and networks that I rely on. And then we have this great void, of course, seriously like 18 or 19 hours. So certainly you can find an hour or two in there to turn to your journaling, your reading, your intuitive and creative practices. Turn within and have that conversation with yourself about how things are going for you with everything else, so that you can then begin to get some clarity and create order, so that you can have some emotional satisfaction as we are coming into the full moon on Friday, which will be in Virgo. And with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. Okay, we have the Nine of Rods. So wands are fire in the tarot world, and it's usually called wands. Sometimes it's called staves, but in this particular deck, this is the David Palladini deck. It's the Nine of Rods. And I love these. I love just the look of these cards. But Rods relates to fire, and fire is about inspiration and drive and motivation and sort of stamina. And let's say there can be also an irascibility to fire. There can be impertinence, impatience, and defensiveness, honestly, because often with fire drives us forward, but having been driven forward, we don't always think about the consequences. And so, you drive forward and somebody says, whoa, hey, too fast. And then you get on the defensive. And I'm saying that because the Nine of Rods, to me, always has a pretty defensive feel. I always look at rods and I think of achievements, things that somebody passionately pursued, and it's almost like a conquest. Okay, I achieved that, and now I have a rod to stick in the ground and say, this is my trophy of that thing that I achieved. So you get to 9 rods, and you have achieved a lot, right? That's a lot of work that you have done, just out of a sense of passion and drive. This is a person who's very driven, but also there's an element here. You see this kind of almost looks like a bandage on his head, that having done all that work, having been through all, used up that ambition and drive, and gone forward in that spirit of fire and passion. You've taken some hits along the way, and you might feel a little bit defensive of the things that you've achieved. We are nearing the end of the cycle with a 9, so it's like I want to hold on to the memories of all these things that I did. I want to keep the trophy case, right? But the trophies, they just represent things that happened in the past. And we, on one hand, have to be willing to defend our record if we want to defend our record. But on the other hand, we realize that there's only so many hits you can take. So we're coming to the end of a cycle. It might be time to let those trophies sort of fall before they become burdensome. But we very much have our achievements on our mind at this time. In our hearts, we're still feeling the drive and the passion from the things that we've achieved. And I don't know that is coherent or not, but that is what comes to mind for me for this card. And I'm just checking to see if it relates really to anything on the page. Definitely like this expanded sense of inspiration and creativity can be very inspiration is fire. It's very, a driven energy. So it's perhaps that we are feeling a little bit, like I said, overwhelmed with all of the flow of inspiration and creativity and the desire to express our ideas, and it could be just that there's a good time here actually to start to take a rest and turn within and reflect on those achievements that we've made, so that we know which trophies we need to hang on to and which we can, again, let go. All right, that's all I have to say about that today. Thank you all again so much for being here. I appreciate you for showing up every day. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today.